3 U.S. troops killed, up to 34 injured in Jordan drone strike linked to Iran.
The U.S. tonight preparing to retaliate after the deadly drone attack killing 3 American soldiers. The Pentagon making plans and what we've learned about what this could look like. And tonight here, you will see the heartbreaking moment, the phone call from President Biden to one of the families, and what the president reveals to the parents that moves them to tears. Martha Raddatz from Jordan again tonight.
Tonight, for the first time, the White House identifying the Iran-backed militants behind that drone attack on a remote U.S. base here in Jordan that left 3 American soldiers dead. And we are learning tonight that the majority of the 47 wounded were National Guard from across the country.
The attribution that our intelligence community is comfortable with is that this was done by the umbrella group called the Islamic Resistance in Iraq.
President Biden firm on a U.S. response. The Pentagon preparing to unleash what officials say will be a multi-day, multi-target attack, bigger than anything seen thus far, which could include Iranian assets outside of Iran. But another U.S. official saying the president has deep misgivings about hitting Iran itself, fearing a wider war. And tonight, the heartbreaking moment when President Biden called one of the families of the fallen soldiers, Oneida and Sean Sanders, whose 24-year-old daughter Kennedy was killed.
I know there's nothing anybody can say or do.
The idea of going after their assets, Operation Praying Mantis, which again people can look at online. Do you believe that the risk to reward is worth it for America to start finding Iran's military assets that are part of this and hitting them?
My thought on this is we've been at war with Iran, for beyond just several months, probably for a number of years. Let's not kid ourselves. With the administration concerned about this, going into a wider conflict, we're already arrived at that point. Certainly with 3 dead Americans, and our thoughts and prayers go to them. We've clearly seen today that freedom is not free. We have to go back and see that time and time again. There is a strategy, I'm sure, that's being formed right now at this very moment. U.S. Central Command is providing the president and his national security leadership team with a range of options that go from perhaps just single target strikes to all the way to perhaps even looking at targets inside Iran. That wouldn't surprise me. But what I would advocate for is a full range of U.S. national security in terms of economic sanctions. There's still room for that to grow. Certainly diplomatic efforts, but on the military side, I would advise for perhaps a 5 to 7 day air campaign against a lot of the proxy forces that have been conducting these attacks. As you mentioned, 165 since October 17th.
Tonight, the White House vowing to do whatever it takes to protect U.S. forces in the Middle East after Iranian-backed militants hit this airbase in Iraq with ballistic missiles, leaving an unknown number of service members with potential traumatic brain injuries.
We're going to do what we have to do to protect them. I mean, these attacks have to stop, and we've made that very clear.
While in Gaza, a once unthinkable milestone reached.
Are we going back to war in the Middle East? This time with Iran. I just saw this on X. As early as tonight, President Joe Biden will authorize U.S. military action in the Middle East. We already have U.S. military action in the Middle East with Yemen. The Houthi rebels, who Saudi Arabia has been engaged with for years and have been attacking our ships. We're engaging them. But will we be going to war with Iran over the drone strike? I personally hope not. I hope that there can be some sort of peaceful resolution to this, although I don't... What do you guys think? Do you think we will be going to war with Iran? Do you personally want a war with Iran? Is there any other option than a war with Iran? Or is this just some shock value story that I ran across on X? What do you guys think about this?
This morning, the Pentagon has signaled it's moving ahead with President Biden's decision to retaliate against Iranian-backed fighters in response to Sunday's drone attack on a U.S. base in Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers.
I don't think we could be any more clear that we have called on the Iranian proxy groups to stop their attacks. They have not, and so we will respond in a time and manner of our choosing.
President Biden blames Iran for arming the radical militants who carried out the deadly attack. He told reporters yesterday he's already decided how the U.S. will respond, adding the White House wants to avoid a broader war in the Middle East. ABC's Martha Raddatz reports a strike inside Iran is less likely than a strike in other regional countries where militants are operating.
Even though the president is hesitant to strike Iran itself during this planned multi-day bombing barrage, a U.S. official tells me that Iranian assets outside of Iran could be targets, and most of the strikes, said the official, will be inside Syria.
U.S. bases in the region have seen more than 160 attacks since Israel's war with Hamas began in October. Iran-backed fighters have also attacked commercial ships in the Red Sea in support of Hamas. Shipping industry executives told Congress yesterday that Iranian-backed militants have effectively taken control of the Red Sea, which sees 15% of the world's commerce.
The level of sophistication of the targeting, the weaponry, and the boldness is absolutely unprecedented.
The attacks have forced ships to take long detours, adding up to 2 weeks to shipments and more than doubling shipping costs in some cases.
One member has told me that they have had carriers ask for an increase of $1,500 to $3,000 per container, which represents a 38% to 73% cost increase.
The executives say shipping costs are still below levels seen during the pandemic, but they fear costs will keep rising.
Hi, everyone. George Stephan.
I do want to get to the latest here as we continue to follow more on the Middle East fight right now. This is actually a live look over at the Israel-Gaza border right there on your screen. Iran now issuing a threat against the U.S., saying that it will, quote, decisively respond to any American attack on the Islamic Republic. This comes as the U.S. linked Iran to the killing of 3 American soldiers at a military base over in Jordan. We brought that to you as breaking news as it did play out. The U.S. has signaled it's preparing for retaliatory strikes in the Middle East in the wake of that drone attack Sunday at Tower 22, a base in North.
Has announced we will respond to a drone strike that killed 3 U.S. soldiers and injured 34 more. They say it was done by Iran-backed militia groups and came from Syria. We're now getting a breaking report from Sky News that as early as tonight, Joe Biden may authorize military action in the Middle East, which could spark World War III. I'm not the only one who's saying it. World War III has been trending for some time, especially after these 3 U.S. soldiers had been killed. And there are numerous reports coming out about the fears escalating. And of course, kind of feel
now intensifying. And a lot of people are saying this could be the thing that escalates the United States to officially entering into war. Now, we had heard that Iran has already said they're pretty much at war with the United States, but there's not been an official declaration. Let me know your thoughts. Is this going to be intensifying things now to the point where we are going to be on the brink of World War III? If you believe so, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Put a 3. If you think no, we're going to be okay. We're going to. And articles coming out today as well that Tucker Carlson is responding to this massive war. Warnings coming out from Tucker Carlson today telling them, and that is why this is continuing on. And that is why we saw the loss of almost 1,000 people in the room already. 200 likes. Can we get that to